Welcome to Killer Women with your host, bestselling author Danielle Girard. And now, Danielle's next killer woman.
Hello, and welcome to Killer Women Podcast, a proud member of the Authors on the Air global network with more than 4 million listeners. I am your host, suspense author Danielle Girard, and my guest today is Roz Nay. Roz is the best-selling author of The Hunted and Hurry Home, which were both nominated for Best Crime Novel of the Year. Her first thriller, Our Little Secret, won the Douglas Kennedy Prize for Best Foreign Thriller in France and was nominated for the Kobo Emerging Writer Prize for Mystery and the author Ellis Best Crime Novel Award. Whew. Roz, you go, girl. Roz's new novel, The Offing, is out May of 2024. Roz has lived and worked in Africa, Australia, the US, and the UK, and now lives in British Columbia, Canada, with her husband and 2 children. Welcome, Roz.
Oh, thank you. It's so exciting to be on this. Oh, I love it. I love that you're holding that book, and I love that you've invited me to your podcast.
Oh my God, it's so fun to have you here. And we were just talking a little bit. We're not doing any spoilers. This book has some major twists, so you're just going to have to pick it up. But one of first of all, this is what I do. I start to blab about how much I love a book. First, let's let you tell us what The Offing is about.
So, The Offing is a travel thriller. It's about 2 American girls who go on holiday to Australia, and for reasons that aren't totally clear at the beginning, they need to escape a certain situation that they've left behind. So they jump on a family-owned yacht. They take crew jobs and they set off into the kind of tropical north of Australia. But obviously, once the journey begins, certain things catch up with them, and also they figure out that the world on the boat is perhaps even worse than the one that they were trying to escape.
Right. So the boat it's a dad and his daughter, and that's there's some trouble at home. The parents are maybe not getting along, and the dad is taking his daughter for a couple of weeks on a trip.
Just to calm down. Just to get a little bit. Yeah, they've got the cat with them. Yeah, it's all, it's family owned. It'll be fine.
Right, it's all going to be fine. So I was telling Roz before, and of course, this is the most professional podcast you're ever going to be on, Roz, because I just babble and I wave the book around. But we were talking about Dead Calm. So does everybody remember Dead Calm? Because that was like it was Nicole Kidman. Was it Michael Douglas?
Who was the husband? No, it was Sam Amazing Neill, wasn't it? Sam Neill, wasn't it?
Maybe.
The guy that was in Jurassic Park, and it was Penny Zane, the nut bar chef, wasn't he?
Yes, I think you're totally right. So for me, and of course I live in the mountains. I don't live anywhere near the ocean, although I grew up in, near the ocean, but I've not ever been a real sailor. And there is something about boats, about the idea of being on the boats that really just adds all that creepy. Plus, there's like crocodiles. It's not just the creepy people. Those are, does that really happen?
Totally. And actually, I should tell you this. I want to tell you 2 things, because I'm going to babble also. Firstly, I want to apologise for the background of my photograph.
Oh, she's in prison.
Earlier. Yeah, that I am actually in jail, and that's this is like a day release room. No, but it's all this is my day job, so I'm on my lunch break. Secondly, what was the other question? Oh, do these things happen?
Crocodiles.
Yeah, and this is the second thing I need to tell you, is that I did that. I took that crew job and went on that boat with that dad and that daughter and that cat. I did that myself.
You did, and you're alive to tell about it.
I can't believe the things I did, and I spend my life as a mother telling my children not to do anything I did. I was 28, I think, and I was traveling on my own through Australia. I saw a crew job advertised on a little bit of paper stuck at a hostel, and I tore the little bit of paper off the bottom of it and called, and it was a dad and his daughter, and they were traveling north. It's exactly the same. It's the same boat. And there were crocodiles. The further north you get, there are saltwater crocodiles, and they're massive, and you can't go swimming off the boat or anywhere. Yeah. So, but it was really not it was like remembering that trip and just turning it into what it could have been if it had all gone wrong, like it should have done, really. Because
Wow.
I didn't know anyone on that boat, and I was on my own with those two, and then two other backpackers who knew each other, and I'd never even met them. And off we
Yeah.
went, no phones, no, like,
Right.
oh my God, it is
Because
astonishing I'm still alive.
when we traveled, right, there were no cell phones. I mean,
No,
I traveled for a year, kind of in a little tiny line around the world, and yeah, and my parents didn't even like. I think I called him every 2 weeks, every other Sunday, to say, yeah, I'm still alive.
yeah, still
In
here.
the
Yeah, no,
meantime, they're like, we have 3 other kids, so if something happens to you, there's backups.
yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I
Yes.
didn't realize about the crocodiles. Is that deep water, that they live in deep water?
They just live in the oceans. There's two different types of
Wow.
crocodile. One's a saltwater and one isn't. And the saltwater ones are the massive ones that swim in the ocean. Mm.
Okay, now I don't ever want to go in the ocean again, Roz.
But they're only in the far, just don't live in far north. I shouldn't say that in case Australians are watching. But that you have to get way north for them to be an issue. Yeah.
Way north down under.
Mm.
Like close to the equator is what you're saying.
Yeah. Up near
the
where that boat goes. So up kind of north of Early Beach and up near Cairns and stuff when you get really far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were supposed to do the Red Sea, a 4-day dive on the Red Sea to the Red Sea from Cairns, and we had a like cyclone. No, what is it called when it's on the water? Yeah, hurricane. No, a tornado. What's it called?
What is it called? Isn't that something?
I think it is a cyclone, isn't it? Oh,
Cyclone.
whatever.
So.
This is now
Yeah.
now I'm really I'm off the wall. It must be because it's Roz and I are talking afternoon, and I'm clearly less sharp afternoon. But basically we did that, and of course there was a big storm, and so we had these horrible swells, and everybody on the boat was sick, and it was only funny after it was all over. But yeah, that is really interesting. And you have you've lived everywhere and traveled to these places, and you obviously weren't on a boat in Africa, at least not most of Africa. So what did you do there?
In Africa, I worked in an orphanage actually, and I also taught in a little school in the middle of Swaziland. Never heard of that country till I went there. They've changed the name of it now. I think it's not called Swaziland anymore. That's a total other tangent. But yeah, no, I worked in a school. Yeah, I was only 17. Yeah.
Wow, Roz, when do we read the Africa novel where everything in
I did write. I know that, and I went back as well after university. I went back to Africa and I worked on a dive camp, diving every day and counting fish, which I did write a thriller about. That was The Hunted, which was the previous book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you're using most of us don't have lives that are exciting enough, Roz, to be able to turn them into thrillers. I guess we do. It's just about murdering our husbands or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's somehow more relatable. There is something to that, I think, that if you set it somewhere where most people have lived, as a reader, it's different. Like if I set everything in Africa and Australia, it almost makes it that the reader would be like, oh, well, that won't happen to me. So actually the book I'm writing at the moment, I'm setting it a bit closer to where most people live. Just because of that, I want to make sure that everyone's maximum
properly scared.
Yeah.
So where did obviously this idea really did come from your past, as it sounds like The Hunting. I read Hurry Home. What are these ideas? I mean, where do they come from? What's the spark?
They are all close to my life, I think. Hurry Home was based on child protection and I worked in child protection and in my day job. This isn't the day job I'm in now. I have switched, but small mountain town I live in, and the things that I notice and the kind of underbelly of beautiful places. I do take things that I'm either living in or have lived through and do just try and switch them a little bit.
Interesting.
The current one I'm writing is about a house swap, which is something that that I think could go so wrong. So
I've thought about that, and now I can't wait to tell me how it could go wrong. But I can see, I can see lots of ways. That's so fun.
I do
And
sometimes watch TV, like nice TV shows, like romantic comedies, and think, how would this be a thriller version? What could you do that would make this really horrible? That's what I think.
That's I'm sure you're a blast to watch romantic comedies with.
That's so fun. Yeah.
In the thriller version, she would stab him right here.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So now that you're working full time, and so how do and I know you've got 2 kids. They're not babies, right? They're one's a teenager.
No, they're teenagers.
They're teenagers.
Yeah.
Which can be as hard, right?
They're 17 and 15. Okay. And I've got the one's graduating this year. So yeah, I've got a full-time job, and it's busy actually. I don't know how to get books written, but they seem to still happen. I think I just throw myself at it.
Yeah.
In patches of the day when I can, and just kind of, by the time I reach the finish line, I'm crawling. That's how I feel. That's
right. It's a marathon.
Anyway, it is, isn't it? It's difficult. It's really difficult to write a book. Very, very difficult.
So, it is difficult. Why? Just remind me why we do it. It's so funny. It's so difficult.
I know. And then you get the nicest readers that email you and go, I read your book in one day. And I think, oh, I love that. But also that took me like everything I had for years.
Yeah, right. Could you not have just slowed down a little bit to really appreciate the word choice I made on page 12? Yeah, it's true. And I also think, like, why do we do it? Do you think, like, what do you think the rationale is?
I think it's just so fun to get into a world that's imaginary. I think it's as basic as when we were kids and reading. And it's the same thing. It's just kind of flipped. I think for me, it's I spend so much time in the world in my head.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think it's, for me, really mentally quite healthy. I mean, it probably doesn't sound it, but I think to have that escape and to know that you're creating something, and to form these characters that you get to know, and you start to kind of pad them out, flesh them out. It's fun. It's just, it doesn't ever stop being fun.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's you can say it's horrible and hard and fun at the same time, because it is all of those things. I also think it's kind of a compulsion. I don't know if you feel that way, but in the times when I don't write, I'm really not a happy human to be around.
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel edgy, and I want to be. Or maybe it's just that I like that world more than any other, the one that's imaginary in my head.
Yeah. Right. Don't tell our families. Don't tell the children, but
they won't watch this.
Yeah. They probably already know, but it's true. It is miraculous. One of the things I really enjoy is that so there are these 2 friends in the book. There's Ivy and there's Reagan, and they really have this friendship where they sort of watch out after one another, and yet, of course, like any human, they also keep things from one another. And I think there's such an interesting opportunity to look at with female relationships, right? Especially young female relationships. I mean, these girls are in their 20s, or not even, they're young 20s, right? Because one of them's about to finish university.
About 21,
yeah. So they're young, and one of them's a little less interested in getting on this boat. One of them wants to get off. There's that push-pull between them. And also, like you say, you can't leave your girlfriend on a boat, right? Like, if she doesn't want to get off, like, it's, sort of this, the rule is to stay in the buddy system, right? So that's all this good conflict.
Yeah, that's constant tension. Yeah, and there was fun to be had around that as well, the interesting thing with this book when I was writing it actually was trying to keep them on the boat, because why wouldn't you get off if you're on a boat and it's too weird, or little things are happening and it's not quite right, or one of you I had to have it that they couldn't be too freaked out, so they'd leave, but it couldn't be a boring book. So I had to try and figure out for readers, how do readers know how bad it gets without the girls knowing how bad it's going to get. That structurally was quite tricky.
I can imagine,
that push-pull that you said about the two friends was a huge part of trying to keep the tension going, because I needed their friendship to be kind of in flux or move or evolving or in trouble and then mending or not, or it needed to be. It's a huge part of the book, and it needed to be part of the suspense, I suppose. Like,
it was.
are they going to split? Will one go? What will that mean for the other one?
Right.
The tension.
And the idea that, like, that's exactly right. And that is interesting. I hadn't thought about them being on the boat, but the idea that they are not so close, not so close that everything's hunky dory between them, but not so split that one of them is willing to be like, F you, I'm gone. And that is,
friendship, but it can't be too, like you're saying, there have to be cracks in it. There have to be problems that will emerge, but not so much that they're not friendly. It's all there's so much subtlety in thrillers, I think.
Now you have a threat that is off the boat. That's what gets them on the boat, and then sort of the rising tensions of the boat. Was that all sort of in your mind when you started? Because I think I'm interested, and we won't be talked specifically, but in my mind, I was wondering, of course, to get them on the boat, it makes sense for them to have the threat that's off the boat. And obviously once they're on the boat, there has to be a threat. But I was wondering, like, are you a plotter? Does this sort of happen as organically as I know, me neither. So, there's no wrong answer here. There's no wrong answer.
I've forced myself to be a plotter. I'm not, as a character, I much prefer to just wing it, and I live that way. And I can't reform. I just can't, and I don't really like to be too organized. I roll with it, and that's how I like it. But when it comes to books, I have tried very hard to improve myself. And so when I was writing this one, I knew that I had actually felt kind of bigger than the ones I've done previously, because there were three worlds at once, really. Yes. So I had Boat World, I had America World, that may or may not be merging with Boat World or kind of follow or chasing. And then I also had previous to the Boat World that the girls don't know about. So I've got three things going on simultaneously. So I knew I needed all of those. And the trick was trying to get it so that none of them were so big that they tipped the other.
Balance.
The boat wouldn't happen, or the journey, they just get off, because it's not like they're not in the middle of nowhere. They do make stops along the coast. So why wouldn't you get off the boat? So that was the number one thing for me. Keep them on the boat, but also needs to be terrifying.
Yeah.
If you can
and there's scary stuff that happens off the boat. So that makes, it makes sense that they end up staying on the boat. But I think it's a really good point. And actually that balance is really well done. Everybody in this world has a pretty massive secret, like everybody, right? There's really no, like, the cat. I mean, like really just like the young people. Yeah. I mean, right. It's like, the dad and there's another man on the boat, and although at times the cat acts kind of up, and I'm like, what's going on with this cat? So really I know. I do too. It's Pearl. She's super sweet. Well, and I like the use that you do this. You use a technique in the book where you have these police interviews, right? That sort of, as things are kind of, and even as we're reading the police interviews, we really don't know. Kind of. There's all these wonderful things that sort of you learn through that, and some other scenes that happen at the end where you think, wow, like Roz, just like whiplash. We're like, oh my God, and that, and that, and that. It's really so fun. What a fun read.
Nice. Yeah, good. Yeah, the transcripts were the police transcripts were my way to put thriller elements onto the boat without them being, so that it's kind of like not in real time. The transcripts are present, and the boat, as you figure it out, has kind of already happened. So that you get a sense of the thriller aspects without, frightening the girls enough to make them leave.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a really, that tension, how we create tension, and you really can't, the thing about tension, right, is you can't create it and hold it, because we get sort of like tired. We're like, okay, that's,
saturated. Yeah.
You have to have those little dips in the, So there's little fun moments, like when they play games with the daughter, or there's a little love, and so there's lots
Yeah,
of
little
moments
love
where
interest.
it
Yeah.
lets the tension off, only to kind of wring it back out again.
That's the trick as well, isn't it, in thrillers? That again, the push-pull thing. It's then the subtlety thing. You're right, you can't expect your reader to be, adrenaline maximum from
No,
page 1 to page 300. Yeah, so you got
no.
to give them a breather.
Yeah, you've got to give them a breather, right? And the readers are so sophisticated now, right? That it's like it takes so much. It's really hard to really surprise a reader. I think a lot of readers read even though if they suspect they know the ending or whatever, because they just love this sort of finding out which parts they're right about, which parts are wrong. But I think really surprising a reader is, yeah, it's tricky.
It
So
is
well done.
very, yeah. Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see how many people I manage to trick. But yeah, it's all about deking, isn't it? And now we have to do like double, triple, quadruple deke. And
I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then a final aha gotcha moment to end. Yeah, it is. How long does it take you? How long does a book take, Roz? Are you putting?
But now that I plot it, and when I have time, actually, with this one, I had taken in between my difficult child protection job and my current working in. I'm not really in prison, but in
Oh yeah, sorry. I should have made that clear. That was a joke.
I took a year out and I wrote full time, and it was the most glorious thing ever. Unbelievably spacious. And so with that in mind, it would take me probably 9 months, 9 months to get a first draft together. But now I'm inching along again because most of my hours are given to this, a day job. So I don't know. I'm trying my best, but I think this one's going to be a bit slower, this next one. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I think the whole idea that we're supposed to put out a book a year seems kind of insane. I don't have a book out this year, and yeah, it's there are people that can do it, and it's really impressive, but it's not. I don't think it should be necessary. Readers, please forgive us. We're doing other things in our lives as well.
We're doing the very best.
And then 15 and 17-year-old, it won't be long before you have a little more space, right? Mentally.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my son's about to go traveling.
Right. You're like, no, listen, here are the things you're not. Although we don't worry about the boys.
I've dedicated this book to him. No, he will actually be fine. But I am also going, maybe read this on your way.
Yeah.
Don't take a crew job with people you don't know.
Yeah. Have a buddy or something. Or maybe just stay on land. I love that. Well, this is super fun. Everybody, The Offing by Roz Nay, coming up in May. And Roz, tell us just a little bit about where we can find you online. I know you're on Instagram, all that good stuff, so people can find your other books and all that fun.
Totally. And I've got a website, roznay.com. It's such a handy little punchy name, roznay.com.
It is. And Roz, for those of you listening and not seeing us, Roz, Roznay is her last name. So it's almost like one word. You could be like Beyonce.
Well, I get that a lot. People think I'm called Roz Nay and go ask me what my last name is. And I go,
I don't have one. Just Madonna. Yeah. No, you're right. It's not, and it can be big on the books. I love that. That's fine. Okay, roznay.com and Instagram. You're
on Instagram. I have dropped the Instagram ball a little bit. I think I'm probably the most boring person on Instagram.
Yeah, you're in pretty good company. I think it's hard to be. I just think we're too. I'm going to group you in with me. I just think we're a generation who's just not that into that. We're too old.
Were you going to say too old? Were you going to say too old?
I was going to say too old. I think I feel too old, and it's part of my whole gig with this podcast because I want everyone to, hear about the books that are coming and stuff. But I do at moments feel like, oh my gosh, but you can't really give it to somebody else to do either.
I did try and make my 15-year-old daughter do it, but she wouldn't touch it. She was like, absolutely not. I think because I'm cringe. I'm a bit cringe.
God, these children are so mean, aren't they? They're like, You're like,
I was
that's
like, oh my God,
the whole
no.
idea
Yeah.
is that you uncringe me, girl. You're supposed to
Yeah.
come in and like make me look like I'm
I need
super,
some help.
super
No.
cool.
I know we
Ah,
should put a call out to, some teenage readers. Can you please
yeah.
manage my social media account?
Yes, exactly. And in return, you can be a character in a book. You
Yes, oh,
can,
totally.
I
Everything.
will, I'll kill you off if you'd like. I would happily do that. That's probably not what the mother of any teenager wants to hear right now. So, but find Roz's, her existing books. I did, Roz, I have to be honest, I did not realize you had won so many damn awards. That is really, really impressive. So,
Well, thank you. I don't know if I've won them. I've been nominated for a bunch, but I did one. I did win a good one in France, and
wow.
they flew me to
Yes.
Paris. It was like the
Best
best.
foreign thriller in France. I
Love that.
mean, that
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Yeah. Well, you've been whatever. You're a winner, Roz.
Oh, thank
You're a winner.
you.
Absolutely. And this was such a fun book. And I'm probably going to avoid taking a cruise on any small yachts for the
Just don't go
rest.
family owned. Go big. Then you'll be fine.
Yeah, that actually, I think that could be another book. No, that doesn't sound good either. Actually, I just imagine those poor people who were stuck on those boats during COVID.
I
And I'm
know.
like, no way.
Never.
Not me. Everybody go over to the Killer Woman Facebook page. There will be a copy of the offing that we'll be giving away. And Roz, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Danielle. I could talk to you all day long.
I know. We have to talk about that. I hope to see you soon. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This is Killer Woman, and we'll see you next time. Bye.